Some cities are destined to burn. Chicago was one of them. Step back to October of 1871. The air over the American Midwest is thick with the scent of pine, coal smoke, and an unyielding autumn drought. Chicago was the unstoppable engine of the American frontier, alive with wooden buildings, busy sidewalks, and chaotic rail yards. Few realize that this hyper-accelerated boomtown is sitting on a powder keg. A small barn fire would soon become a city-wide inferno. Yet from those ashes, Chicago would reinvent the modern skyline. Before the disaster, Chicago was expanding at astonishing speed. Wooden homes and storefronts rose as thousands of immigrants arrived. Even the streets were wooden, built above the swampy ground. Chicago never seemed to stop. Hammers, locomotives, merchants, and river traffic. Grain, meat, and lumber powered Chicago's booming economy. But beneath the bustling surface, the city was dangerously dry. Weeks had passed without rain, leaving everything dangerously dry. By October, Chicago's dry wooden buildings were ready to burn. On October 8, 1871, the inevitable finally began. Near Dekoven Street, a spark ignited a tragedy that changed America. Fueled by fierce winds, flames leaped from building to building. Panicked families fled toward Lake Michigan, carrying whatever they could save. The fire created its own weather, hurling burning embers blocks ahead. Even supposedly fireproof buildings collapsed beneath the relentless heat. The sky turned blood red, and the glow could be seen for miles. When the rain came, 3 square miles lay in ruins, leaving thousands homeless. Yet Chicago's spirit refused to remain buried beneath the soot. Among the ruins, citizens declared a defiant motto: "I will." Architects and engineers saw the ruins not as a graveyard, but a blank canvas. From the ashes emerged a radical new vision for the city. Traditional masonry could no longer support the height of a growing metropolis. Engineers turned to steel frames, creating lighter skeletons for taller buildings. Chicago's early skyscrapers rose higher, redefining American engineering. Steel, glass, elevators, and stone transformed Chicago into a modern city. But beneath the towers, the memory of the Great Fire remained. Chicago did more than rebuild. It reinvented the American metropolis. Some cities are defined by destruction. Chicago became famous for rising from it, and it all began with a single spark in the darkness. To understand the fire, we must first understand the city. Chicago's growth depended heavily on timber from the northern forests. Millions of pine boards poured into Chicago's growing timber yards. For ordinary people, boomtown Chicago meant crowded streets and new opportunities. Immigrant families arrived hoping to build better lives in the growing city. But Chicago's defenses against fire were dangerously unprepared. Its busy harbor connected Chicago to trade across the Great Lakes. Then the dry southwest winds began sweeping across the city. Soon, the first alarm sent residents rushing into the streets. Volunteer firefighters raced toward the flames, fighting against the growing inferno. Then the water failed, leaving firefighters nearly helpless. One by one, Chicago's famous landmarks disappeared into flames. The flames climbed higher, consuming churches, homes, and entire blocks. Thousands escaped to Lake Michigan, watching their city burn. At dawn, Chicago stood, transformed into a smoking wasteland. But amid the ruins, Chicagoans promised that their city would rise again. Engineers immediately began planning what Chicago would become. Stone, terracotta, and new engineering techniques rebuilt the city. Steel became the foundation of Chicago's extraordinary new age. Chicago's architects turned new materials into breathtaking works of art. Within years, life and commerce returned to Chicago's rebuilt streets. Even the Chicago River was transformed by the city's relentless growth. If this journey fascinated you, subscribe for more lost worlds and forgotten history. What city or historical mystery should we explore next? Tell us below.